morning, race fans, and welcome to LSRTV coverage of Real Sim Racing's alternating Wednesday night series, the Asphalt Assault TV series for the Xfinity cars. Tonight, from the Fontana, California area, the Auto Club Speedway, site of the opening race of an 8-race championship for these Xfinity cars. Jacob Seelman and Justin Rosenau in tonight's LSRTV broadcast booth. Joined alongside us, Brian Macklin, going to be our driver analyst, and out of the Timmy Hill Motorsports stable on Monday nights for the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series. But we will get around this table in just a moment. Justin, I'll go to you first because we opened the Xfinity style portion of RSR competition for 2015 with a track where we've seen a whole lot of drafting. It's not Daytona, but these cars punching a big hole in the air, and that's going to lead to what a lot of people expect to be a lot of lead changes and a lot of action tonight.
Certainly, and as big a track as the Auto Club Speedway is, you know, you can see three, and at times if the field is close enough tonight, 4 wide action here at the Auto Club Speedway. And as we alluded to in our production meetings before tonight's broadcast, you know, we certainly said that, you know, draft is going to play the most pivotal role as far as who's going to stay in contention for the win. I mean, with the right around 450 to 500 horsepower that these Xfinity cars have, and a smaller tire as well, you know, momentum is everything. So if you fall out of that draft, you can kiss your chances goodbye.
And want to welcome in Brian Macklin to the LSR TV booth for the first time. And Brian, you've seen this track and will see this track on Monday night for the 5th round of the Full Throttle Cup Series. But tonight, going to be a little bit different. I know you said to me before the broadcast, going to be a little bit of a tune-up for some of the guys in the field tonight, but at the same time, these cars a little bit different than what we'll see when we come back here on Monday night, especially different, too, because tonight we're running this track under the lights.
Yeah, under the lights, they're going to have a lot of grip in the beginning of the run. They're going to be able to make a lot of moves that we're not going to be able to make on Monday night. I'm interested to see how this is going to go as the runs get longer. I feel like they're going to get loose on the exit of the corner, and it's really going to be a momentum track. You're going to have to get all your speed on the exit of the corner and get the big run down the straightaways. As long as these straightaways are, that's where the most speed comes from. And you're going to see the people that know how to back the corners up and get the big run off the corner are going to be the ones that prevail tonight.
And we look at who's been prevailing lately, Justin. Jeff Ward on top of the standings right now in qualifying by about by about a tenth and a half. Paul Williams just tying him at a 40.8 seconds flat. But Ward, part of that potent Steel Horse Racing stable that just seems like they've been on top of the world in everything RSR over the past couple of races. And they continue that role here tonight in the opening night of Asphalt Assault. They've got 3 straight wins on the Cup side, and these Xfinity cars, they seem to have got the handle as well.
As well, the number 9 Steel Timber Sport Chevrolet of Jeff Ward, fastest in practice right now, as you alluded to, a Steel Horse Racing driver. Certainly knows how to get his way around every track, especially in the Full Throttle Cup Series you'll see here on LSR TV on Monday nights. He's got this thing figured out because, as we found out here in the last few weeks here in the real NASCAR series, the Cup cars drive a lot like these Xfinity cars, and you know, he certainly knows how to wheel them. He's very quick in those, just not had a lot of luck on Monday nights, but he can probably do a lot of damage here in the Xfinity series, here on the Asphalt Assault series, here tonight. So time will only tell as we're in open qualifying here. Can somebody beat him? I really don't know, but it's really going to take a strong run for that to happen.
It's going to take a strong run, and so many times when we run the Xfinity cars on the iRacing service, we talk about a guy like Bobby Terrell, who's so good in these a little bit lower horsepower, momentum-driven kind of cars, Justin. Bobby actually not in this field from what I can see for tonight, which I'm really shocked at. I expected him to take right to this Asphalt Assault series. It's unusual to not see him piloting that Muscle Milk entry this evening. So one of the heavy hitters that we're used to seeing put up laps and contend for the win, not in this one tonight, and that really opens this up to somebody like a Jeff Ward or Doug Roth, who won the Outlaw Truck opener last Wednesday night. Some of these guys we don't always talk about, able to get their moment in the sun.
Certainly, you got a lot of new faces mixed in here. Some we haven't seen at all in any of the series yet, whether it's the Outlaw Truck Series or the Full Throttle Cup Series. So some new faces here tonight. Can they make their voices heard? And certainly one of the names I've seen is Paul Williams. Just like you said, he jumped up to second on the charts, and we're going to have to go all the way down into the 10,000ths of a second to separate who gets the pole and who gets the outside pole. So he's certainly flashing a lot of speed in practice, and as well as in the qualifying session. Another couple names here to take note of is fresh faces to the RSR crew. The 87 of Anthony Palumbo. He's certainly showing a lot of speed there. He's just about matched his practice time so far, 4th fastest in practice, 4th fastest right now in the qualifying session as well. And you look a little bit further down the list, you come to the 91 of Greg Olmo. 91, usually that's Steve Gottschalk's number, but he is not running in the Asphalt Assault Series. So Olmo, a fresh face here, and he's certainly picked up a lot of time between practice and qualifying. He's picked up almost 0.3 of a second, Jacob. That's a lot of time to be picking up, especially here at the Auto Club Speedway.
You time that draft just right, and you can surprise a lot of people. How about Brian Harvey jumping up to 4th overall in the 66? Just put down a fast lap and picked up over a 10th from his lap in practice. You got some of the veteran names like Kevin Linden, Thomas George in a familiar sponsored car, but an unusual number, driving the 42 tonight and an appropriately red snap-on paint scheme. I'll be looking for Kyle Larson all night. But George, very confident about this Fontana track. And Brian, I mean, we talk about fresh faces, and there's even been fresh faces on Monday nights as well, guys, that maybe you haven't raced with as much. How much does that change the mentality from the driver's seat when you get around some of these guys who you don't always know what they're going to do?
Well, I'll tell you, the nice thing about racing with the same people every week is you learn how to trust them when you're racing side by side with them, and you learn how they race, and you can race harder with certain people because you're used to racing with them. When you get into a group of drivers that you're not familiar with, you're a lot more cautious, and you really, really take your time trying to make passes because you're just not sure how they're going to react when you try to get underneath them and make a pass.
So we come to the end of this 15-minute qualifying session, and it looks like Jeff Ward, about 5 seconds to go, seems like he's going to hang on and claim the pole. Red and black flags going out right now, so everybody going to get a chance to finish the lap that they are on. But, it's a good mix, Justin, of veterans and rookies up here in the top 10. I see 4 or 5 guys that run on the Monday Night Trail as well up here, and like you said, it's a really solid rookie effort right now in these top few spots at Fontana. And as we get set, we'll take a look at the starting grid in just a moment. But Jeff Ward going to nab this pole, and he and Paul Williams both, they were 1-2 in practice, 1-2 in qualifying.
As well, and then you see a little bit further back here, Matt Lacrosse put on quite a show last Wednesday in the Outlaw Truck Series, made a hard charge going into turn 3 and came up about 300 yards short of taking home that victory last week away from Doug Roth. And then the 66 of Brian Harvey, he really put in a strong run there, improving quite dramatically from the 13th spot in practice all the way up to the 4th spot in qualifying.
And now let's take a look at our starting grid real quick as we go down the board. On the pole, as we mentioned, posting identical 40.800 second lap times. The 9 of Jeff Ward takes the top spot. To his outside, the 88 Paul Williams the second, and behind them on row number 2, the 2 guys Justin was just talking about, the 21 Matt Lacrosse, 66 Brian Harvey.
Rounding out your top 5 tonight will be a new face to the RSR Series, Anthony Palumbo in the 87, starting outside of him in the 6th spot. The 48, Kevin Linden, inside row number 4 in the 7th spot. And the unfamiliar number, as Jacob alluded to earlier, the 42, Thomas George. And starting 8th, rounding out row number 4, will be the 07, a new face, Christopher Herlow.
9th tonight, the 14, Scott Simley, and 10th, the 22 of William Kemp. 11th, the 89, Brian Clark. 12th, the 91, Greg Olmo.
Last week's Outlaw Truck Series winner, the 43, Doug Roth, starts 13th. Starting outside of him in row number 7, the number 7, Cody Gibson. And you go to row number 8, you'll find Jose Gonzalez and the 19 at Garrett Atwell, both of those guys Cup Series drivers.
Jamie Pitts, another Cup regular, starting 17th, and Jared Como in the 18th spot for Boomtown Sim. Mark Bratcher and Wyatt Wolf round out the top 20, and as you see the rest of the starting grid scroll across on your screen, we're going to catch up with our in-race reporter tonight, driving that number 42 Snap-on Chevrolet, Thomas George. Thomas, first off, you alluded to me just before we went on the air tonight that this was going to be a drafting party this evening. What did you guys notice in qualifying, and what do you take away from at least being able to start towards the front of the field to try and get there in a hurry tonight?
It's gonna just be the opening laps. It's gonna be a lot of these cars are very similar. They're gonna have a little bit of grip to start with, so everybody's gonna be pushing it there, and they're gonna be using the draft to try and get around people. And then, if we get a long enough run, we'll start seeing tires fall off here, and then hopefully we can separate ourselves from some of these guys here. But for the early stages of this race, and basically on any restart we get, it's going to be a lot of aggressive driving.
How aggressive do you feel you're going to need to be to win this race tonight?
If it comes down to a final restart and somebody's slow on the outside, you're going to have to go 3 wide.
All right, Thomas, we know you're about half a lap from green. We'll let you get to it, and we will hopefully talk with you a little later in the race tonight.
10-4, and thanks for broadcasting tonight, guys.
Justin, before we go green, he mentioned it, you've got to be aggressive. You cannot wait, and the best time to pass tonight is on these restarts.
As we've seen all year long, even in the real NASCAR series, you got to get everything you can get from the drop of that American ethanol green flag. Look for guys to go 3 and 4 wide, especially on the first lap, trying to get everything they can get as they get these cars up to full song.
Well, for those of you who may be with us for the first time, we are glad you're here with us for some sim racing action on a Wednesday night in the RSR realms. Tonight, the Xfinity cars and the Asphalt Assault Series ready to roll, and as we work off turn number 4, the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car takes the dive onto pit road, leaves the field in the hands of Jeff Ward. Green flag goes in the air, and we are underway from Fontana, California. Ward gets the jump and pulls to about 3 car lengths as they head down this long front straightaway towards turn 1. They're already 3 wide back of the pack.
Best Thomas George making that dive to the inside, move him up now to the 5th spot. Now he wants 4th spot, now working hard to the inside of the 66 machine of Brian Harvey. Linden makes a hard crossover move now coming out of turn number 2 right behind the 42 of George. Puts that Lowe's Chevrolet right to the inside of that 66 Budweiser machine of Harvey. Move Linden now up to the 6th spot now. Coming out of turn number 4. He wants that 5th spot as well. He's looking to the inside of George out of 4.
And as we watch this, they space out for a minute, Brian, and then they come right back together. It's going to be an accordion all night long. You're not going to be able to get away from somebody, and we see these front 3 able to get themselves a little bit of a gap for now, but you look at a guy like Thomas George, who we know has a fast car, he should be able to use that massive hold in the air that these Xfinity cars produce and pull right up. Oh, caution on the racetrack. We got trouble.
You see the 38 of Mark Bratcher goes around and collects several cars at the back of the pack. I also see the 56 of Wyatt Wolf involved. I do believe the 27 of Chris Hone is involved as well. We'll get the full roundup of cars for you in a minute as well. Brennan Mercer appears also to be involved in that wreck as well.
Replay going up now, so you'll get a second look at the incident, and really sparked, I think, by that 38 machine of Mark Bratcher from what we could all see up here. But Brian, check that. The 56 there was a big piece of that. But Brian, I was coming to you just before the yellow flag flew, and you know, we were talking about how they'll space out and come right back together in a hurry, and they're going to be playing this game all night long.
Yeah, the thing about this race is if the cars get single file for a while, the guys up front can get away, but if they start racing, then the guys that are trying to catch up are going to have a very, very easy shot to catch up. When you get side by side here, the momentum that you lose is so drastic. You'll lose a second easily if you start racing somebody side by side. So for those guys up front, they were staying single file, and that was a good call for them because the guys behind them were racing, and they were able to get away early. If they do that and the guys behind them keep racing, they can really gap the field in a hurry.
So we look at this just 3 laps in, coming to complete 3 laps in. 80 laps the scheduled distance tonight, Justin, and it's a little bit shorter than the Cup Series race that we'll see when we get back here on Monday night, but at the same time, a lot of time for people to get things done. And I'm already seeing some guys like a Bobby Wetzel back in the pack, the 17, picked up 5 spots on the opening start. A guy like Garrett Atwell, who went from 16th to 13th on the opening run. Top 10 really stayed about where they were, but back in the pack, some guys already making some pretty serious moves.
As well, you know, you've got the 38 of Mark Bratcher, who was just slightly involved in that incident. He moved his way up, I do believe, from about the 26 starting spot or so, give or take, and now he's up just almost inside the top 20. He'll have to come to pit road to get that damage fixed, but he made a lot of early moves going on there. Just unfortunate incident there where the 56 just had the air taken off the spoiler, got loose and collected him and several other cars right behind him.
So as we pace under caution, working lap number 4 of 80, Jeff Ward, your leader, and looking at the updated scoring, Matt Lacrosse to P2. Third is Paul Williams II. Thomas George, one of the big movers inside the top 10, 7th to 4th, and Kevin Linden in the familiar 48, rounding out the top 5 here early on. I'm looking at a guy, though, that we talked a whole lot about last Wednesday, Justin, the 43, the STP entry of Doug Roth, who won that truck race last week. And we know in some of these Wednesday night races, he has shown some speed in the past and trying to do it again. He's was 28th in practice, didn't even put down a time, 13th in qualifying, has picked up 1 spot early in the going. But we know if he can get inside the top 10, he can be a contender tonight.
He certainly can, but don't also count out the other Cup drivers that are in this field as well behind him, the 3 of Jose Gonzalez, the 19 of Garrett Atwell as well, and as we see in the 17, Bobby Wetzel. We know he can wheel these things, so, you know, he's just biding his time more than likely. Had a few unlucky breaks in qualifying, but I'm sure before too long we'll see these guys start going up towards the front of the field. But if early returns or anything, look out for that 37. That's J.R. Johnson. He climbed his way all the way up from 25th in just 3 laps, all the way up to the 17th running spot.
He is the biggest mover from that opening stint, J.R. Johnson is. So a lot of speed in that 37 early on. But Jeff Ward, the man who is leading the way right now, and Wyatt Wolf gonna head to the tail of the longest line when we go back racing here in about 2 miles or so. I don't know, Brian. I like that 9 car early on, but Matt Lacrosse, that 21, was not afraid to get really aggressive on that opening start and was really able to power his way right up to the back bumper just before that caution came out. If he could get slotted in line here on this next restart, I think we might have ourselves a pairing that could swap the lead between them a little bit.
I tell you, the guy I'm really looking forward to watching tonight is the in-race reporter tonight, Thomas George. He was real aggressive on the initial start, and he was making a lot of moves. He's really fast in the Cup cars, and I really think that he's going to show up and be a contender tonight. Matt Lacrosse is definitely fast, too. There's a lot of guys in here that can put on a really good show. It's going to be interesting as they get a few green flag laps in to see who comes to the front and see how this racing plays out.
And Thomas told us just before the start of the broadcast that he thought we would have a couple of incidents early before this would settle it out. So far, that's proven true as the lights go out on that iRacing Ford first pace car, and we'll get set to go back. Green flag next time by the Lowe's Cobalt machine of Kevin Linden drifting to the high side for a moment. I think they're trying to get everything straightened out right here as we re-rack them, restack them, and get set to rock and roll. A lot of new paint tonight, Justin, up towards the front of the field. A couple of schemes that I'm definitely not quite used to seeing yet. That the Wrangler scheme, the 07 of Christopher Hurlow, definitely one that stands out, and that's a new name to the RSR ranks from what we've seen here on LSRTV, having a nice run up there just on the back end of the top 10.
Yes, he is. He's really got a little aggressive there and fell back, trying to make it too aggressive there in that Home Depot Chevrolet. Fell back a couple spots, worked his way back up, got back into his original starting spot. Look for him to try to make another aggressive move, try to get around that 14, that similarly painted Budweiser Chevrolet of the 14 of Scott Simley as well. So the 87 of Anthony Palumbo in that Wrangler-colored Goodwrench Chevrolet.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. It helps when you read the numbers, doesn't it?
It sure would, but we all know your math skills lately. But as we get ready to say that, the American Ethanol green flag getting ready to come back out on the field.
Well, I thought that, and then they added a lap here, so we'll try this again, see if the lights go out this time. I think they had to add the lap there because we had a bunch of guys that just were not where they needed to be.
A couple guys having a judgment lap, so to speak, so I wonder if we're going to do the old Delaware double file on this field.
I'm impressed that you know what that is, Justin. I'm very impressed. Go back to the whole short track encyclopedia thing. We'll talk about that later. And are we? That almost looks like that's what they're trying to do off turn number 2. This is kind of fun.
As we wait for everybody to get lined up here, the Delaware double file for everybody is the leader is out front all by himself. And then next thing you know, everybody else is stacked up too wide behind him. I don't know if these guys are trying to do the thing where leader calls what lane he wants and then everybody else or whatever, but it looks so far, guys, like we have the Delaware double file in effect.
This has really just made my night, I think, and you're right, Justin. That's exactly what it looks like we're about to do here. So this is a fun little way to kick off the Asphalt Assault series, and I'm going to confirm that with race control under our next caution flag, see if we can't get a determination on that. But yeah, Jeff Ward out in front all by himself, the number 9, getting ready to lead this field. Back to the green flag as we work off turn 4, all by himself, the Steel Horse entry on the gas. The American Ethanol green flag flies, and our first restart of the night sees that 9 machine pull out to about 3 car lengths. Matt Lacrosse gonna dive to the inside and claim that second spot as they scramble behind, headed to turn 1.
Thomas George, that whole inside line made quite a move now. He's working to the inside of that 88 Taxilator Chevrolet of Paul Williams. George now pulls off the slide job, gets right up in front of Paul Williams as well. There's several cars ducking out of line in the back of the pack. The 22 of William Kemp looking now to the inside of last week's winner, the 43 of Doug Roth as well. And he's also looking now to the inside of the 89 as well. The 89 of Brian Clark shuts the door on the 22. The 22 had to lift off the throttle right there, allowing that outside line now to get that big run now coming out of turn number 4. These guys are going to start falling by the wayside here in just a moment here if they keep racing side by side. Several cars now fanning out 2-3 wide now going into turn number 1.
Looking here, we got the 89 still side by side with the 14 here off turn 2. Doug Ross getting a big run down the back straightaway. Trying to get a clear of the 89 as he gets on into turn 3. Wants to be able to dive underneath the 14. 22 is looking low. He looks like he's going to go 3 wide. No, he's going to stay in line for right now. The 3 car on the outside. Up front, it's single file. Jeff Ward has stayed out there with a pretty decent little lead over Matt Lacrosse. Thomas George has moved into the 3rd position and is trying to suck up to the back bumper of the 21 as they go down into turn number 1.
Yeah, if we keep this up, Matt Lacrosse is going to have some help on his rear deck lid in a hurry and go for that top spot. He looks to the outside in turns 1 and 2, trying to see if he can get that run, and now he's going to lose some speed, and here comes the 42. Maybe Lacrosse got it a little too wide down there, lost all his momentum down the back straightaway. Thomas George and Jeff Ward, the teammates, getting ready to do battle. The snap-on machine down to turn number 3. We'll see what that Camaro's got, as I think he's trying to set up the slingshot off for Justin. They're headed down towards the start-finish line, and Thomas George started 7th. He has not stayed there. This is the battle for the lead.
George inside, outside. What's he going to do? Ward pulls a very courteous move now, pulls the outside, allows that 42 snap-on Chevrolet of Thomas George to go right to the point of the field. The 48 of Kevin Linden just got past the 88 of Paul Williams, and as we hear that, the Matt Lacrosse entry, the 21 Quick Racing Product Chevrolet, has just fallen out of the server. Server issues again here tonight, and as we say that, the 87 of Palumbo, where did this guy come from? He's now made it 3 wide with the 88 of Paul Williams and the 48 of Kevin Linden.
So as we continue to watch the 3-wide battle back there, Palumbo in that Wrangler 87 gonna power through and I think take that third spot. That's tight down in turns 1 and 2 with Kevin Linden. They're gonna come off the corner and the 87 of Palumbo gonna move into that P3 spot and try to bring Paul Williams along with him in the 88. Williams has that preferred lane and that Hornet's Nest gonna continue on as Williams to the inside for 4th.
Williams digging hard now to the inside of that Lowe's Chevrolet. Now can he pull up to the outside? Does not quite have him cleared. He's going to give that advantage now to the outside lane. Linden now charging hard, getting up to that outside quarter panel of that Tech Slayer Chevrolet. And ooh, hard move by the Williams. Shuts the door on the 48. Now diving down to the inside. Now looking to the inside of the 87, Anthony Palumbo now for the 3rd spot. Can he make it happen? I don't think he can. Now coming out of 2 as these cars now falling off over a second now off your front 2.
And I'm not surprised by that at all, Brian, because you talk about running side by side as opposed to being able to line up, use that draft, and just kind of disappear. And that's what those 2 Steel Horse teammates had done. While all those guys were scrambling for space, they decided, hey, let's hook up and leave. And that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, that's really ideal for those 2 teammates up front, is just stay single file. They swapped the lead, so each of them got their bonus point for leading the lap in this race, and now they're just going to work together and try to hold on to that lead. That way, if this race stays green flag, they can control who's going to win this race. They can stay out there with this big lead, and they can just race it out amongst the 2 of them instead of having 6 or 7 cars battling for it as we get down to the end.
Of course, the problem with that, Justin, is if they start battling late in this race and look at the gap shrink too much, then all of a sudden you pull this line right back up to you there in the final laps. It's very much a give and take deal here with how big the draft is at Fontana. As we watch the battle for 5th, Kevin Linden trying to come back on the 07 of Christopher Hurlow.
Got ourselves a hardware box store battle, gentlemen. The Home Depot Chevrolet is trying to hold off that Lowe's Chevrolet right behind him. Linden now looking to the inside of the 07. Digging hard now, looking at the inside now out of turn number 2. Gets that hard run out of the back straightaway. Looking to the inside now, looking to the outside, coming towards turn number 3. Linden wants the Lowe's line. Hurlow, he's going to shut the door on that 48, kind of take his line away a little bit through the center of the corner. Linden just nowhere to go for that 48 machine.
He's trying to get to the quarter panel, and the 07 got a little bit loose. Hurlow did off turn 4, managed to hang on to it and holds that 5th spot. That's one of the best battles on the racetrack right now. Although back about 11th, 12th place, Jose Gonzalez, Cody Gibson, the 3 and the 7 machines, those 2 are on the rise. It's Gonzalez picking up a spot. William Kemp, the Miller Lite entry, on the backslide just a little bit.
The 43 of Doug Roth just got around the 66 of Brian Harvey as well. The 41, Jericomo, we haven't said his name yet tonight there in that Boomtown machine. He's working it around the 66 machine as well, bringing along the 7 of Cody Gibson and the 3 of Jose Gonzalez. Gonzalez trying to find a lane in which he's happy with. He's inside, he's outside. Ladies and gentlemen, he's all over the place.
Yeah, I think all over the place is a little bit of an understatement. And Brian, that makes me nervous right there. How all that lane changing in traffic, these guys are setting themselves up for disaster if they get it a little squirrely, because all it takes is an instant with as close as these guys are racing together, and they're 3 wide down the back.
Yeah, this is where you've really got to trust the people you're racing against. If you don't know who they are, if you're not familiar with it, you really need to be careful right here. If you're really comfortable with these guys, there's contact between the 3 and the 7 going off into turn 3. You've really got to be careful here. This is a lot of hard racing, and there's still a lot of laps left.
Oh, contact, 1 in the wall.
About 3-4 wide there. That's going to be, I believe, the 7 of Cody Gibson. Nope, it's going to be a little bit further back. That's going to be the 66 of Brian Harvey. Got a little loose, put it in the outside wall there. With about 4 wide, just had the air taken off the spoiler on that Budweiser Chevrolet.
Yeah, Harvey just managed to hold on to it and not turn back into traffic and collect anybody else. Couple of guys blinking still in this battle. That's got to make you nervous if you're a driver, too. I saw the 3 of Jose Gonzalez and the 59 of James Thorndike both blinking a little bit with connection issues as you take a look at the replay on the Brian Harvey incident. And Brian, we talk about connectivity all the time. This is a sim. It does use the power of electricity and the internet quite a bit, and these connection problems, you warp out even for half a second and come back into the path of somebody, it's on from there.
I tell you, it's really scary when you're racing with somebody and they start having connection issues. You start worrying about where they're going to show back up when their connection straightens out. And when you're racing as hard as these guys are, that makes it even worse, because if you do take somebody out, you're going to take out more than just one person. You're going to take out 5 or 6 in a hurry. Somebody I'm really watching right now is Brennan Mercer. He had a bad start to this race. He got loose on the beginning and fell back, but he's made a nice recovery, moving up into the top 15.
Yeah, running 13th right now, +8 from where he started in 21st, and has been able to find some drafting help in that Gary Mercer Trucking entry to start moving forward. So as we continue to watch that battle, we're going to take care of a little bit of business as we hit the 1/4 mark of this race. 20 laps complete at the line. Thomas George, your race leader. Jeff Ward, his teammate, in second. Then it's Anthony Palumbo, Paul Williams, and Christopher Hurlow. We're back with more from Fontana, California, and the Auto Club Speedway in just a moment.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track.
Contact made, 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The
Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Welcome back to LSR TV and the debut of the 2015 RSR Asphalt Assault TV series for the Xfinity style race cars. Jacob Seelman, Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin in the broadcast booth, and we found ourselves a guest coming over from the race control room right next door. Jimmy North stopping by the LSR TV production room now. Jimmy, always nice to see you, whether it's on the track on Monday nights or popping by here for a little bit of Wednesday night action, and you picked a good night to show up. These guys are just getting after it tonight. It's been chaotic the first 27 laps of this race.
Well, thank you very much, Jacob. I just stepping in here into the booth, and I was down on pit road for a little bit, watching some of the guys making their pit stops, and things have kind of settled down a little bit from what I can tell.
Yeah, things have settled down a little bit for now, but Justin Rosenau back in the pack, they have done no such thing. I've been watching the 29 of Brennan Mercer and the 59 of James Thorndike, the 22 William Kempf, and I think the 89 of Brian Clark now joined this party. It's a 4-car hornet's nest, but especially Mercer and Thorndike, they have just been eating at each other the last 5 laps while we've been in commercial, changing that spot. That's a battle for 12th, and they've changed it between them about 6 times.
Yeah, it's a real Royal Rumble. These guys are throwing haymakers and slobber knockers at each other left and right, and Thorndike just seems to be driving like a madman and a demon-possessed race car driver. He's done everything he can to keep everybody behind him. He's made that car really, really wide. Definitely not making that much in the way of friends here in the RSR series. You're going to have to see how this plays out as the run goes on, and as I say that Captain America Chevrolet just smacks that wall out of turn number 4.
Yeah, he got a pretty solid piece of it right there, and it's going to kill his momentum and allow the 89 of Brian Clark, Brennan Mercer, to slot in there, and Mercer picks up a spot on him. But Brian Macklin, for those who may just be joining the broadcast, normally on the racetrack for Timmy Hill Motorsports during the Full Throttle Cup Series on Monday nights. And Brian, goodness, these 4 have been putting on quite the show the last 6 or 8 laps, but at the same time, they've given up almost 3 seconds from where they were to the leaders. And watching that 59 of Thorndike now, this track, especially in the Xfinity car, is so aerodynamic that it makes it really difficult if you get that wall off turn 2 or turn 4. It makes it really difficult to keep the handle on it and make these passes.
Yeah, as long as the straightaways are here, and as critical as the momentum is down the straightaways, you can't get any damage on these cars if you want to be competitive. We saw the 88 up there a few laps ago. He also nicked the wall. He seems like he's okay now, but he's going to start dropping pretty quick. These guys here, though, they have been racing so aggressively, and it's been a lot of... Oh, the 29 just got loose.
Yeah, Mercer hanging on to it, and I can't believe there's not been a caution here the way these guys have been racing the last few laps. But want to go back to the restart a few laps ago. We had a restart at lap 7, and Jimmy, you were down in race control, and I want to bring you in here to kind of give an explanation to the viewers out there who may be watching and were just as confused as we were. We thought we were watching a little bit of a Delaware double file restart with the leader out there by himself, but a little bit of an issue from a penalty standpoint, and just having to shuffle the lineup a little bit to keep everybody straight. Talk about it.
Yeah, from what it sounded like, there was a guy that had received a black flag, and they had to put him in well just so that it would be cleared. But not really too sure as to what happened on that incident. But it seems like things have gotten kind of squared away on that part.
Yeah, pretty. We'll chalk it up to the sim and just kind of move on with our night, which has seen the 42 of Thomas George out front, leading the way now since lap 11 when he first took the lead. And Jimmy, I don't know about you, but from the rest of our standpoints up here, that 42 has been bad fast all night, and even his teammate up there just hasn't been able to get to him to do anything with him.
That is correct. As the field kind of spreads out here, they still got that 4-car race going on here about from about 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. The battle between Cody, James, William, Brandon Mercer, Brian, as well. These guys are digging pretty deep and trying to get a spot as much as they can.
They are right here, and Brian, I want to go to you for a second because we're finally seeing that long green flag run that I know Thomas said before the start of the race he had hoped we would see, and a long green flag run that, like Jimmy said, has really spread this field out somewhat. Just past the 1/3 mark of this race, are we anticipating green flag pit stops here pretty quick?
Yeah, they're probably going to be able to go about another 10 to 15 laps, I would say, before they're going to have to start thinking about that. They want to try to go as far as possible. That way they can make it a one-stop race. The thing they've got to be wanting right now is fresh tires. I know these cars have got to be screaming right now on the corner exit. I've been watching a few of these guys, and they've been getting so loose on corner exit. These drivers, that's the one thing that we want the most. We want fresh tires. Anytime they start to get this bad, we just want to get on pit road. But you've got to keep that mindset in that if you get on pit road too early, you're going to hurt yourself in the long run.
Justin, are we surprised at the lap times that, especially the leader right now, has been able to put down? I mean, Thomas is lapping and able to pull 41.45 last time by, and he qualified in at a 40.97. He's only given up about half a second on even old tires when we usually expect Fontana to really eat at these Goodyear Eagles.
Yeah, you have to also understand, too, is you got the two Steel Horse Racing drivers up front right now working together to drive away from the pack. If they decide that they want to race it out, if this thing goes green to the end, these guys are going to have to work in concert until about 10 to go if they want to guarantee that's just those two drivers wanting to race for the win here tonight. But as you said, and it was alluded to by Brian Macklin, Goodyears here are at a premium. I'm sure these guys are screaming at their crew chiefs, begging them, please let me come to pit road. But just got about 10 or so more laps to go before we end up.
That is correct.
Before everybody comes down to
pit road down here, gentlemen.
Yeah, Kevin Linden actually, just as Justin, I think, was getting ready to say we can go a few more laps. Kevin Linden's in, the 88 is in. So we've got them starting to come. Paul Williams in and Kevin Linden down. Right side's already on that Lowe's number 48 machine. 4 fresh tires and fuel going to be the order of the day, I think, for everybody down here tonight. And Brian, would you be crazy at this point to go and take 2 tires or try to get track position that way, knowing that we've had this long of a green flag run, or do you think we'll see somebody try it?
I think it's too early in the race to take 2 tires. If they were doing this green flag pit stop with 10 or so laps to go, then that would be a good call. You could try to get the track position and just hang on for the final few laps. But they've ran on these tires since the very beginning of the race, and they need the 4 fresh tires if they want to be competitive for the rest of this race. It's too early to do that.
Too early to go 2 tires for now, says the driver. And Justin, as we watch this now, we're going to start to see Kevin Linden tear back through this field. Going to be able to pick up half a second, 3/4 of a second. James Thorndike has just been down for his service in the 59. And change for the lead up front. Jeff Ward said, hey, I want to lead another lap in this deal.
Yeah, Jeff Ward sticks that steel Timber Sports Chevrolet out front of that Snap-on Chevrolet at Thomas George. These two drivers working in concert, they pulled out almost 4 seconds over third place runner, the 87, that Goodwrench Chevrolet of Anthony Palumbo. These guys probably going to stretch the fuel as far as they go. Tire fallout is not that big as we've seen in some places here, only about a half to about 0.6 per second per lap, or excuse me, per the course of a fuel run. So not that big a fall off, so it's not like these guys staying out here on old tires are really going to lose that much time compared to the guys coming down and taking 4 tires.
And we know these leaders have been some of the fastest cars on the track all night long. The 07 of Christopher Hurlow down for his service, and the Home Depot machine going to get some fresh skins on that car. Just waiting to see the 42, Justin Thomas George, in for service.
Yeah, Thomas George brings that Steel Horse Racing Snap-on Chevrolet entry down to the pit road speed of 55 miles per hour here at the Auto Club Speedway. Hitting his timing sectors just perfect here. He's going to want to take 4 fresh Goodyears and a full tank of that Sunoco race fuel. He's certainly hoping that nobody wrecks on the way to pit road here, because it could trap him a lap down with Jeff Ward staying out right now. But as I say that, he's rolling into his pit box now. Pit crew jumping over the wall now, right side getting jacked up on that Snap-on Chevrolet. 2 tires going on that side. Gasman now grabbing a second tank of that Sunoco race fuel. Left side is now going up onto that car. Gasman says he's done. He's waving his hand in the air, waiting for that jack to drop in. He's down and away. Quick stop for that 42.
And Jeff Ward, the number 9 car, is in for 4 tires and some fuel. Well,
yeah, Ward is
that's
down. He didn't want to give up a whole lot of time right here, so that's going to hand Jose Gonzalez the top spot. And Brian, that basically looked planned. You have one of the 2 teammates come in one lap, one teammate come in the next lap, and just be good to go.
Yeah, what that was right there is they didn't want to accidentally get into each other coming onto pit road. This track is really hard to get slowed down and get onto pit road when you're running full speed the way they are. They did this so that they could get clean pit stops in. When they come back out, they should be pretty close together. Jeff Ward's getting his 4 tires and fuel, waiting on the gas man. Tires are dropped. He's rolling away.
And that puts Jose Gonzalez to the point in the number 3 machine with going to be 42 laps complete when he gets back to the line. And I'd imagine we see that 3 machine in right now, as a matter of fact. Scott Simley to the point. Justin Gonzalez to pit road.
Yes, Gonzalez on pit road at that 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. A little bit further back in the pack than what he would like, so he's probably going to see what he can do to take as little fuel as possible to get to the end, but he's going to need damn near a full tank. Excuse my French a little bit there, but Gonzalez, great driver in the Cup Series, certainly knows how to wheel these beat cars as well. No stranger to victory lane here. I do believe he just drove through. He might have missed his pit stall there, Jacob.
He missed his pit. I'm shocked at that miscue for the 3. Simley's in now, so that should just about conclude the cycle here. The 14 going to try to hit his marks, and that puts Brennan Mercer to the point. Let's see if Simley can do a better job at getting to pit road than the 3 of Gonzalez did this last time by.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough break for Jose Gonzalez, man. You really got to pay attention to where your pit stall is. Otherwise, when that happens, man, you can go down 1 to 2 laps and really set yourselves up for a little bit of a failure during the race.
All right, so we got Scott Simley in his pit stall, the Budweiser number 14. 4 tires and a full tank of virtual Sunoco fuel. Down and away, solid stop for Scott Simley, and we're just waiting. Thomas George and Jeff Ward are going to cycle through when this all comes out as the race leaders. So no change at the top of the pylon, and now we're just waiting to see. Brennan Mercer's trying to hang on as long as he can to maybe trap some of these guys a lap down or a couple laps down. He's working down that back straightaway right now, so we're still just waiting to see how this all comes together. But Brian, I don't know about this. For the Gary Mercer Trucking entry for Brennan, you've stayed out this long. Do you just try to push the fuel as far as it can go now and gamble on a caution?
Yeah, if you were going to try to get in and get tires and get an advantage on the tires, you wanted to come when everybody else started coming. If you're going to stay out this long, you just ride it out until the fuel is completely empty and then hope for a caution, which I think is what Brennan's trying to do. There's a lot of guys a lap down right now. There's only 10 people on the lead lap. A lot of guys have to take the wave around if a caution came out. If this works out for him, he's going to have a really, really good spot as they get back going.
And since we are now past halfway, we're working lap 46, Justin, I say it's time we take a Gary Mercer Trucking midway race break and go through the full field rundown. Mercer on point right now with Bobby Wetzel in P2. Stephen Herring riding in the 3rd spot. Derek Hyatt 4th. And Thomas George has worked his way back up to position number 5. Jeff Ward 6th. Anthony Palumbo 7th. Kevin Linden 8th. Doug Roth 9th. And Christopher Herlow, the last car on the lead lap, currently in 10th.
Positions 11 through 20, you will find the 89 of Brian Clark and the 88 of Paul Williams. 14, Scott Simley, he's running 13th. 22, William Kempton, that Miller Lite Ford, he's going to be running 14th, along with the 59 of James Thorndike in 15th. In 16th, you will find the 91 of Greg Omo, followed right behind him in the 17th spot, Jared Como. J.R. Johnson moves his way up from the back of the pack all the way up to that 18th spot. The 3 of Jose Gonzalez, he's trapped a lap down right now after missing his pit stall on this last round of pit stops there. He's running 19th, rounding out your top 20 to 81, Keith Brooks Jr.
21st is Cody Gibson. Check that. Cody Gibson cycling through now to 20th. Keith Brooks falling to 21st. Mark Bratcher, 2 laps down, 22nd, 23rd. Matt Lacrosse, after started strong, qualified 3rd, but has had his problems. Wyatt Wolf, 4 laps down in 24th, and the rest of these cars either many laps down or out of the race. Brian Harvey in the 66th, 25th, 26th, Garrett Atwell, 27th, Jamie Pitts, and 28th, Chris Hone. That's a look at your full field rundown here with 48 laps complete as the 29. Brennan Mercer finally gives it up. He's headed for pit road.
Yeah, Mercer down on pit road. He's got quite the long way to go here to get to his pit crew. He's looking at about 3, 2, 1. He's got a really good pit stall. He's a little bit further down pit road than what I thought he was. So he's about 5 stalls past that garage entry there. Right side's going up on that GaryMercer.com trucking machine. Getting another full. Actually, he's taking 2 tires, gentlemen. He's going for the win.
Hello, strategy. Hey, Brian, what was that about nobody taking 2 tires?
Well, I think he had no choice. He was out there for so long. He gave up so much time on the old tires with everybody coming out there and getting fresh tires. Yes, it was only a half a second drop off, but when you're out there for that many laps, you give up 3 or 4 seconds, and you can't afford that. It was an interesting call, but I don't think he had much of a choice considering how long he stayed out there.
And Bobby Wetzel now in the 17 is on point as we go double on board with Thomas George and Brennan Mercer, and we'll actually get to watch in real time exactly how that 29 entry cycles in to this field. But Bobby Wetzel in the 17 is going to assume the lead as Thomas George, Jeff Ward, the 42 and the 9, move up to 3rd and 4th respectively. So only 2 cars have yet to pit, as Brennan, I think, going to slot in somewhere. He's going to be 7th, I think, when it all cycles through. So maybe a gamble that'll pay off, not sure. But as we work lap 50, Bobby Wetzel's yet to pit. He leads the party, and we're going to take a little bit of a pause here on LSR TV, do some business, and be back with more action from the Auto Club Speedway in a moment. Wetzel, Hyatt, George, Ward, Palumbo, your top 5 in the RSR Asphalt Assault Series.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself, and they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one.
He's like the Intimidator.
It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
cars are lined up on the grid. The RSR World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn one for the first time.
Welcome back to LSRTV, the Asphalt Assault Series from Auto Club Speedway, the season opener for the Xfinity cars under Real Sim Racing sanction. Jacob Seelman alongside Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin, Jimmy North, all in the broadcast booth here this evening, and just coming off a cycle of green flag pit stops that has seen a host of different strategies, including Bobby Wetzel staying out until just this past lap. 55 now in the books, and Thomas George finally cycles through to the race lead with his teammate Jeff Ward in position number 2. So the Steel Horse boys trying to battle it out. And Justin, you and I were talking about this under the commercial break. Anthony Palumbo to P3. What a job that 87 crew has done this evening. A name that's really new to the RSR ranks, but he has really done a nice job tonight and hung with some of the best in the business.
He certainly has, but as Brian said during the break there, I fear he's kind of used up his stuff a little bit. He's really starting to fall off the pace now, but for the longest time, he was within about 1/10 of a second, having zero drafting help at this Auto Club Speedway. And as we said, just before we went green tonight, the draft is everything. So tough luck for that 87 machine, but certainly flashing a ton of skill driving that machine around the racetrack tonight.
Yeah, he is, and I would say that's one of the drives of the race. In addition to the guy who took 2 tires on the most recent pit stop, Brian Macklin. The 29 of Brennan Mercer started 21st. Using the tire gamble, he rides 7th right now.
Yeah, it was an interesting gamble, and for a few laps he was matching their lap times, but I've been watching his laps here the last few laps by, and he's been about 2 to 3 tenths off. I really think that gamble is starting to hurt him. He's really going to need a caution if he wants this to work out for him. If the caution came out right now, he would have gained about 5 positions from where he was at before pit stops began, so if he can get lucky and get a yellow flag, this is really going to work out, but if it stays green, he's in trouble.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm really impressed with Kevin Linden in the 48 car. Running P4 right now. I mean, this is a great run for that 48 team.
Yeah, it really is. And Jimmy, I was just going to come to you on that, actually, and on just how this race has played out so far. You talk about this race allowing guys like Palumbo, Linden, even Doug Roth, who's moved up to 5th spot, to really shine tonight, because we've not had a lot of trouble. But are we looking at these last 20 laps as kind of being like that, with the field as spaced out as it is? Do we think maybe the time for a caution to save some of these guys has passed?
Well, it's hard to say. You just never know, but the way these guys are spread out right now, I mean, you got the 2 leaders. Jeff Ward is just, 18 tenths of a second behind Thomas J. George, and then you got Anthony Palumbo 5 seconds back, Kevin Linden 7 seconds back. I mean, the field is just spread out right now, and I really don't see a caution coming unless somebody self-spins or something else happens on the track.
So we're coming up on the 3/4 mark of this race. Next time by, it'll be 60 laps complete, Justin, and looking at that 42. I know Jeff has hung right with him. Do we think that 9 is saving a little something? Does he have something left in the bank, or is Thomas just that good tonight where we really don't think anything's going to touch that 42?
Well, the 42's been really good, George. We certainly know that he can wheel these cars, especially in the Cup Series as well. Already picking up a victory on the Full Throttle Cup season as well, locking himself into the chase there. But Ward, he's really fast. He's showing a lot of speed in the Cup Series as well. You got to really think he really is doing everything he can, because I'm sitting here watching him the last couple laps. He's really trying to do everything he can to save that right front for a late race battle with George. He's taking a wider arc going through turns 1 and 2, and he's really not trying to lock that thing down on the bottom. He's really trying to use the seams in the racetrack to really try to turn that car instead of really trying to manhandle that car around the racetrack there. And as you see, we're going to go on board here, and we'll just really see what the difference is between George and Ward as well. Ward just falling off a little bit, and a little bit off the back of the 42 of George. Then he starts to run back up on him. You got to think he's really trying to do everything he can to save that race car for the end.
How big is the draft, Brian, between these two going to be coming down to the closing laps of this race? Is it enough where one car can suck up and make that run, or is Jeff Ward going to have to find a lap car that might be able to give him a little bit of help here?
The draft is going to keep him close as long as he didn't burn up the tires, which I agree with Justin. I don't really think he has. I think he's been taking care of them and is going to be able to make a late race charge. I don't think the draft is going to be too pivotal between these two, though. They've been together the whole race, so that just means they've both got really good cars. They've separated themselves from everybody else, and they've clearly made it obvious that they're going to be the guys to beat tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, it's heating up front here. Jeff Ward has really closed up on the back of Thomas J. George. He seems to be getting a really good run off at 3 and 4, and then once he gets into turns 1 and 2 is where he loses a little bit.
That's exactly what I'm noticing, Jimmy. Thomas better through the 1 and 2 end of the racetrack, and Ward can close up with him, and especially when these guys get into traffic, too. That's a pivotal point, is where does Thomas catch these cars, these lap traffic machines, and how hard do they fight? Like a Jose Gonzalez, who they're coming up on right now, Justin. He wants to stay on the lead lap in case a caution does come out. How tough do you fight these leaders, knowing they have a little bit better cars, but knowing you've got to do what you've got to do to try and put up a strong run?
Well, with Gonzalez being a Cup Series driver, you got to think, after the melees that we had last night and all the rivalries born, and certainly going to be rivalries renewed, especially once we start inching our way towards the Martinsville Speedway here week after next for the Cup Series. You got to think Gonzalez is going to try everything he can do to stay on the lead lap, but he's not going to impede the leaders. He's going to show a little bit more respect than somebody who's new and trying to make a name for themselves. But again, let's throw that shout out to the 87 of Palumbo. Palumbo fell off a little bit as far as lap times go, but he's doing everything he can to stay within about 5 seconds of these guys up front. About 5.5 seconds off the back deck lid of the 9 machine as well. But he's certainly holding his own, and he's starting to drive away from the 48 of Kevin Linden again.
Yeah, he is. He's put up about a 3-second gap now between himself and the 48, so I'd say he's just about locked himself into a podium position should we not get a caution and go green to the end here. 15 laps to go, that time by the stripe. 30 miles left as the 42 and the 9 continue to pace away, looking a little bit further back through the field. Some nice runs that maybe I wouldn't have expected we talk about early on in the race, but Brian, that 22 Miller Lite machine of William Kemp, he had fallen way back, about was in that mess 15th, 16th, 14th, thereabouts earlier in the race with Mercer and Thorndike, and he's done a nice job through the cycle of green flag pit stops to come up with a top 10 spot running 7th.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that pitted a little earlier than some of the other guys, and it really paid off for him. He was able to get the fresh tires and get out there and run some really fast laps while everybody else was still out there just riding around. I raced with him on Monday nights in the Full Throttle Series, and he's really, really competitive and good on the long run, so I'm not surprised at all to see that he's doing this well. It's kind of surprising that he wasn't able to get up front, but he didn't qualify as good as I think he wanted to, which is probably going to be a big reason why he wasn't able to contend for the win.
All right, Jimmy, put yourself in the driver's seat for a minute. If you're the 42 or the 9, Jeff Ward especially, and you're fighting traffic and coming down to these final 13 or so laps, when do you hit the button and say it's go time?
I say it's right now. I mean, you know, the tires, they're going to start wearing a little bit, and if you saved your tires to what you got right now, now's the time to go. And Jeff Ward seems to be hanging right in there as he works his way through the lap traffic.
Hanging in, and he was able to close up about a car length last time by as they work through some of these guys who are going a lap down a little bit slower. J.R. Johnson just fell prey. Gonzalez has been able to hang on just ahead of Thomas George and Jeff Ward. If we would get a caution, he would be the one that would really be the beneficiary of all this fighting. But you look at this down off turn 4, closes right up to the back bumper of George, does the 9 award, and we may have ourselves a showdown in California. Just into turn 1, they are within a car length now.
Ward falls off about a half a car length going into turn number 1. George trying to get around that Keith Brooks machine, a lap down, lets both leaders by. Smart move by the 81, but will Jose hold up the 42 of George? We will only know here in a matter of just a lap or so, as George now looking to put that 3 machine a lap down, but Jose staying on line, not yielding to the leaders. We may see a rivalry be born if the George machine, that beautiful 42 Snap-on Chevrolet, loses this race to the 9 of Jeff Ward. But Jose looking to move out of the way now, possibly a little bit here, yields way to that 42 machine of George as well, and as we go into turn number 1.
Justin, you're just a fan of rivalries.
I love me a good show, but let me tell you something. Jose, being the racer that he is, yes, he does not want to go a lap down, but he shows a lot of respect to these Cup guys as well. He's certainly going to let the 9 of Jeff Ward go here. He's going to stay high in turn number 3. Look at Ward. He's really diving that thing down in there to get around the 3 machine of Gonzalez, and he's got a strong drive now. He's driving right back up to that back bumper to the number 42.
You look at that back end, though, get a little bit wobbly off the exit of turn 4, and that's not what you want to see. 10 laps to go at the stripe, and they head for 1. And Brian, here we go. This is where the fight gets real.
Yeah, 10 laps to go. This is where they're no longer teammates. I say this all the time when I'm racing with David and Brennan and Brightsman over on the Full Throttle side. We got a wreck on the backstretch. Caution is out, the 41.
Oh, Jared Como, that was right in front of the leaders. He spins it on the back straightaway, and I don't know, we'll look at a replay to see whether he had help or what exactly happened. He was the last car on the lead lap, and for Jose Gonzalez, that's 1 lap too late. He needed that caution about a lap ago and just didn't get it. So we're going to have a shootout here with getting a restart, maybe 5 laps to go, something like that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that caution to come out, gentlemen. It looks like the 41 just kind of, as we go back and look at the replay here, it looks like the 41 just got up into the wall, and one of those situations where you just kind of have to jerk the wheel to the left and made him loose, and he spun out off into the infield there in the back stretch and came back across the track.
Well, guys, I hate to cut you off there, Jacob, but I think what we're seeing here, what we're going to see here now on the replay, the 41 machine at Jared Como, and the replay's up right now. The 41 machine, it almost looks like he cut down a right front tire or something to that effect here in the iRacing simulation. You see he makes a beeline right into the wall coming out of turn number 2, and then you see him lose it. But this is strategy time, gentlemen. Who's going to come down and take 4? Who's going to stay out and take nothing? And who's going to take 2 tires? Leaders getting ready to come down on pit road.
Wow. The Wrangler is in for service. I think that was the 87 of Palumbo, I believe, the first one down on pit road. So, you know, it all depends on how many stay out and how many don't. But if I'm the 2 Steel Horse guys, Justin, I don't know about this.
The 2 Steel Horse racing drivers there up front, they stay out, but everybody else on the lead lap, that's 3rd through 13th, they're on pit road. Who's going to take 2 tires? The 87, that beautiful Good Ranch Chevrolet, into his pit box, right side going up on that machine. Will he take 2 tires? We'll find out here in just a moment. Jackman drops it. Looks like it's going to be 4 tires for the 87. Doug Roth in the 43, 2 tires on him. Everybody else taking 4 tires on pit road. It's a drag race off pit road. Who's going to get out behind Doug Roth? Looks like it's going to be the 87 of Palumbo. Can Palumbo now use them 4 fresh racing tires there to get around everybody? Can he take home the win?
All right, we're going to do a little bit more business, and we are going to come back for an absolute showdown. Thomas George, Jeff Ward, out on old tires. Who's going to take the win? We'll find out in a moment. From Auto Club Speedway, it's the RSR Asphalt Assault Series.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself, and they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports.
Welcome back to LSR TV, getting ready to come down to the finish of a wild RSR Asphalt Assault Series debut for 2015. Jacob Seelman, Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin, Jimmy North, all in the broadcast booth, and gonna see if we can't talk to our in-race reporter before we go back green for the final stint. Thomas George, Jacob Seelman up in the broadcast booth. I know you guys were hoping a few more guys would stay out, I'm sure. Where does this put you for the restart?
Blocked like hell because some idiot couldn't keep it off the track and bring out a caution.
All right, you've had the fastest car all night. I know you two are going to be trying, I'm sure, to work together to make sure at least one of you gets this win. How tough is it going to be?
I don't know. We're on 30-lap old tires. They're on fresh tires, so I'm just, yeah. I mean, I just got to concentrate now. I'm not really in the mood to talk.
We'll let you get to it. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, Justin, here we go.
Yeah, here we go is right. We got 14 drivers on the lead lap. 4 of the top 5 are actually Cup drivers. The only person that's not a regular Cup driver, or a Cup driver at all for that matter, is the 87 Palumbo. He's the first guy that took 4 tires. 4 tires on from Palumbo on back. Doug Roth on 2 tires. Who knows? Doug Roth strong last week, and he's certainly showing it here tonight, taking 2 tires. He thinks he can win it and hold everybody off here on a short run. Going to have about 5 laps to go here when we take the American ethanol green flag. But my money, if there's not a caution if we run green to the end, it's going to be that 87 machine of Palumbo.
And oh, by the way, Brian, I don't know that we just thought about this. We talk about that caution flag. Caution comes out on this restart. The race is over.
Yeah, there's no green-white checker system in iRacing as of yet, so these guys that stayed out, they've got to bank on a quick caution. The rest of them, they want this thing to stay green. They've got 4 fresh tires, and except for Doug Roth, he's got 2, but they want this thing to go green so they can have a shot.
Hang on for a showdown, and on a Wednesday night, we're glad you're with us on LSR TV. 10 miles, 5 laps to the finish as the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car to pit road. Thomas George on the gas. Green flag goes in the air. 5 to settle it in Fontana. The Steel Horse teammates in lockstep as they cross the stripe, and Palumbo to the high side. He wants to make some noise down to turn 1 on 4 fresh tires.
Palumbo getting a great restart in that outside line. Same cannot be said for that 48 machine of Kevin Linden. Linden spun the tires on the restart. But how about them Steel Horse guys on 30-lap old tires? They're still running out front, but don't count out that 43 STP entry. Doug Roth, last week's Truck Series winner, he's on 2 tires. He's now looking to the outside of that 9 Steel Timbersport Chevrolet of Jeff Ward. Ward now tucked up on that back deck lid of your leader 42 and Kevin George. And here we go, gentlemen. The 87 of Palumbo digging hard on the inside. Big block thrown by the number 9 of Jeff Ward as well. Palumbo falling back in line to that 4 spot as we cross the stripe. 4 laps to go here in California.
Thomas said it. You just got to block and hope for the best, and Palumbo gets into the 43 award. They make contact off turn 2. They save it, and everybody's still going the right direction. Palumbo takes over that 3rd spot, but he's going to have a big gap to try to make up to those top 2 as they work to turn 3. Kevin Linden's coming now to the inside.
Linden working to the inside of that 43 machine of Doug Roth. Can he get around him cleanly? Roth going to fight back hard on the outside there Palumbo's doing everything he can back and forth. Now blocks the 48, big time coming across the stripe. These front two drivers have pulled out about a half a second over the 87 of Palumbo. Palumbo throws the block on Roth, now working the back to the inside. Can he shut the door on Linden? Oh, slow car to the inside. That's the 98 of Stephen Herring. Everybody fine on the racetrack right now, but they're...
There it is! Caution's out! Game over! Wow. Hey, Justin, they needed the caution to win this race. They threw a couple of big blocks, and there it is. They got it.
Word I hear it's the 91 of Greg Olmo involved in that incident as well. Good job to the 42 of George, but you got to throw out a big shout to that teammate, the number 9, that Steel entry, Jeff Ward. Ward threw, I believe, the block of the race on the 87 of Palumbo when Palumbo was working to the inside of Doug Roth. Palumbo, in his first Asphalt Assault Series race, he finishes on the podium here, should he make it around one more time across the start-finish line. Man, I was hoping to see this thing go green, but I bet you George has got to be about white knuckles, still trying to catch his breath here, especially with the way things were going.
Yeah,
Brian
definitely.
Macklin, I know you've been in this position a time or two. You know, if you're fighting for a win late, you've got to have a caution to guarantee a win or a top result, and you get it. It takes you a couple seconds to catch your breath after the end of this one.
Late race cautions are the most stressful part of a race, especially when you have as dominant of a car as Thomas George and Jeff Ward did tonight. You don't want to see the late race caution. They had a 6-7 second lead over the field, and they just wanted to settle this between the two of them. You don't want to pit when that caution comes out because you want to keep the track position. It's kind of a, you're going to be the odd man out. The rest of the field is going to do the opposite of what you do. They got real lucky that caution came out because I'm pretty sure that Anthony Palumbo was going to have a shot at this if it stayed green.
Palumbo had a shot there. Jimmy North, yellow and white coming out together right here. And as we work this final lap, Thomas George owes some bit of this win to that 9 of Jeff Ward, because if it wasn't for that block that Ward threw down so far to the grass that Palumbo just couldn't stick it any lower, I mean, the 87, had he gotten by the 9, there would have been no stopping him.
Oh, definitely. Some pretty good teamwork there going on. I believe those guys are teammates, if I remember.
They are, in fact, and they work together to perfection. You get one more look at the incident that brings out the final caution flag, and down the back straightaway, quick shout out to Doug Roth, Justin. The STP entry comes home with a 5th place result after winning last week's Outlaw Truck opener from Daytona. Nice job for that 43. Just really the model of consistency on these Wednesday nights the last 2 weeks.
Definitely. Doug Roth has really picked up his game here from what I know from last season. He's definitely become a very competitive driver. And as we look at the replay, it looks like, from what I can tell, is that the 22 car just tried to cut down in front of the 91 there. Didn't quite have him cleared.
And as we say that, again, yeoman's work by the 87 here tonight. Going to have to see if he hangs around and sneaks a late entry into the Cup Series on Monday nights. Certainly flashed a lot of skill here tonight, but I know that 43 machine of Doug Roth cannot be happy with the 87 of Palumbo for the way that he just short track door bang style, just rooting him right up the racetrack there to take away that 3rd spot. But, late in the race, it's going to happen. So there you go. But as we say that, Thomas George wins here at the Auto Club Speedway, crosses the finish line. Congrats to him, and he's going to be strong one to contend with on Monday nights.
Yeah, he is. George gets the win, I believe his first in Asphalt Assault TV competition. Jeff Ward coming home in 2nd, so the team cars somehow managed to finish 1-2 on 30-lap old tires. Palumbo, Linden, Roth, the top 5. Nice run for Christopher Hurlow, back to 6th in the Home Depot entry. James Thorndike, 7th after starting 24th and being in a great battle for most of the race around 15th. Brennan Mercer, tire strategy gets him up to 8th. Scott Simley, 9th, and Paul Williams, after starting on the front row, rounds out the top 10. But the Snap-on Chevrolet Camaro going to get ready to burn it down on the front straightaway. Thomas George, your winner. We'll hear from him on the Gary Mercer Trucking Post-Race Show in just a moment from Fontana, California. This is LSRTV and the RSR Asphalt Assault Series. Welcome back to LSR TV, and what a night here from Fontana, California. Jacob Seelman, Justin Rosenau, Brian Macklin, Jimmy Northben up top for most of it. Justin and I are going to be down on pit road for all the fun here in just a couple of minutes, but really quickly before we go down trackside, Justin, you know, for a race where we only saw one caution and it went green for about 70 laps, the cautions fell exactly the way they needed to in the end of the race to determine our winner, and Thomas George couldn't be happier about that.
Exactly. Thomas George, great effort by him. Same can be said, and probably, even more can be said for the 9 of Jeff Ward. Ward throwing the big block on the 87 of Palumbo there right as the caution flag was waving. So Palumbo certainly had the car to beat, and as I say that, we're going to talk to the driver of that number 87 machine, Anthony Palumbo. And I'm with the driver of the number 87 Goodwrench Chevrolet of Anthony Palumbo. Anthony, you took 4 tires there, and you had a little bit of contact with Doug Roth. Tell us about your strategy there for that final restart.
Well, when Thomas and Jeff decided to stay out, I was actually originally going to go with 2 tires thinking they'd come in just to keep with them. And then when they decided to stay out, I took 4. And I have to give a lot of thanks to Start and Park Racing, my buddies Brian and Paul. They helped me out here, and we practiced a lot. So if it wasn't for them, I don't think I could have ran up front. But overall, it was good. I was just hoping we'd stay green because with 4 fresh tires and they had 30-some laps on theirs, it was just a matter of getting around them in 2 laps. But it is what it is. Congrats to Thomas and Jeff, and we'll get them in the next one.
And Anthony, you did, in my opinion, one hell of a job, keeping that car as far up the order as you could. You were within 1/10 a lap of those guys, and you had no drafting help there in that long green flag run. Credit to you. Great drive in that number 87 machine. If you think the race went green to the end, do you think you would have been able to get around the 9 of Ward and the 42 of George?
Without a doubt in my mind.
And besides Start and Park Racing, who makes it happen for you in that number 87 machine?
Oh, I can't thank them enough. Just got to get the drafting help in the next one and see what we can do.
That's your 3rd place finisher, the driver of the number 87 Goodwrench Chevrolet. That's Anthony Palumbo. Great job by that driver here tonight. And I'm moving on a little bit further down pit road. The number 9 of Jeff Ward in here. I've caught up with the driver of that Steel Timber Sports Chevrolet, Jeff Ward. Jeff, tell us about that crazy block you threw on Palumbo there to try to keep George out front.
Yeah, I knew them guys were coming back there on 4 tires, so I just tried my best to kind of protect Thomas there. I knew if me and Thomas tried to race, that would definitely be all she wrote for us. But, I tried to block the best I could without causing a wreck or anything like that. For the most part, I think it was clean. But, yeah, those guys were coming quick there at the end.
If Como would not have spun after hitting the wall, did you think you could have had enough car to get around Thomas? Because he looked really strong all night.
Yeah, Thomas was very strong, but I mean, we pitted 1 lap later than him, and I think I might have had a little something in the tank there, but I could suck up to him there, but passing him probably would have been a different story. So, it's the first race of the season, and running second there and just helping out the team is fine with me. So, I think we'll be top 5 in points going into the second race, and I'm happy with that.
Again, a great drive by you, Jeff. I know you've had a little bit of bad luck lately in the Full Throttle Cup Series, but again, great finish. Besides Steel Horse Racing, your teammates, who makes it happen for you in that number 9 Chevrolet?
I just like to thank Dad and my friends. They like to check in and watch the broadcast. You guys do an excellent job, by the way, and just everybody else that helps. Mainly just my teammates. Got to give it all to them.
And that's your 2nd place finisher. Your runner-up for tonight, the driver of the number 9 Steel Timber Sports Chevrolet. That's Jeff Ward. Now I'm going to throw it up to victory lane. Jacob Silliman, you got tonight's winner.
Yeah, I do. Trackside in Gatorade Victory Lane now with Thomas George, and we talked to him just before that final restart. And Thomas, I know you were not as happy with us and just ready to get to work, but hey, my friend, it paid off. You got the caution you needed, and you come away with a big victory at Fontana and a lot of momentum headed to Monday night.
It wasn't the caution we needed. That's for damn sure. That I was just. We get 10 laps to go. Me and Jeff there, and both teammates over at Steel Horse. We had great cars all night, and we just wanted that thing to go green. It didn't matter who won between us. We were going to race it out at the end. But when that caution came out, I just thought, oh God, here we go again. We got to figure this out. We decided to. Me and him both, we decided to stay out and see what happens, and everybody pitted. And I think if that had gone green, if that caution had not come out at the end, I'm pretty sure we both would have gone past. But we both knew we can't race each other at this point. We can't do it until we think of it as Daytona or Talladega coming out of turn 4. That's the only time we could race back to the line on the last lap, because if we started racing 2 laps before, 3 laps before, we were going to get passed at some point. So, hell of a job by both of us tonight and all the field. That was a great race, long green run. So, it's fun when you're winning, but it's not fun when you have to hold everybody off like that.
I can definitely sympathize with that, Thomas. How big was that block with 3 to go that Jeff threw from behind you when you had Anthony Palumbo in that 87 coming there on the inside? He took him all the way to the grass to keep him from splitting the two of you up, and that really was the move that ultimately gave you guys the 1-2.
Oh yeah, I told him over the radio after it was over that I owe him one big time after that, because if he hadn't blocked, Anthony probably would have gone by Jeff, and even if that caution had come out, I don't know if that caution going into turn 1, that was really what gave us that win. But that block, if he had not gotten that block there, I don't know if we could have held him off. I mean, it was going to be a hard-fought finish, and even still with 4 fresh tires there, I know Anthony was charging hard at the end there. So it feels good for both of us to get 1-2 finishes, especially after, having, I don't want to sound cocky or anything like that, but a lot of people said over the radio we had the best cars all night, so it feels good to actually get the results that they deserve and not have to wonder what if.
Now,
and
Thomas,
I think that's somewhere about 4 of the last 5 for Steel Horse, Thomas, discounting Doug Roth's win at Daytona last Wednesday night. I mean, what's made you guys so good here late?
Oh, it's just the communication and just being patient with, the entire field, It also, a little bit of luck doesn't hurt either, It's just, we all get along really well together. We joke around, and it's a good camaraderie of everybody there, from me to Jeff to Dan to John and both Steves, and it's just, if I'm forgetting anybody's name, I'm sorry. I'm still kind of razzling my brain right now how we won that, but it's such a great team to be in part of, and obviously we're not going to win every race, but we're going to keep going and try to get as best finishes as we can, and hopefully by the end of the season, whether it be in this or in the Full Throttle Cup, we'll be hosting some championship trophies.
And those trophies aren't possible by yourself. The success you've had has made you guys the hot hands lately, but shout-outs, thank yous. Who makes it happen for you and the crew?
Oh, just everybody over at Steel Horse, obviously great group of guys, as I said. Snap-on, Bass Pro Shops, IC Delco, Energizer, State Farm for us here, Pit Crews, my teammates, my friends over at AOR who, I have fun with them too on the NSI Open nights. And you guys for putting on this show on broadcast, and for Brennan and John, all the admins, for making this possible.
It's been a lot of fun, Thomas. Go celebrate with the crew. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, time to shotgun a beer.
Thomas George down here in Victory Lane. Justin Rosenau, up to you. Let's take the fans down there through the final results tonight.
Yes, obviously we know the front 3 that won, that took the top 3 spots in the race tonight. Thomas George takes home the victory, the 9 of Jeff Ward in second. In the third spot, the 87 of Anthony Palumbo. Now positions 4 through 10 is going to be the 48 of Kevin Linden in fourth. Fifth goes to the 43 of Doug Roth, last week's winner. And in the sixth spot, you'll find the 07, the Home Depot Chevrolet of Christopher Hurlow. In the seventh spot, making a big drive from the back of the pack, starting in the 24th spot, the Captain America machine, the 59, James Thorndike. And Brendan Mercer takes the 8th spot in that 29 machine after taking 2 tires for track position earlier in the race. Ninth goes to the 14 of Scott Simley and the 88 of Paul Williams. He finishes in the 10th spot.
11th tonight going to be the 3 of Jose Gonzalez, 12th the 89 Brian Clark, William Kemp 13th, 14th Dakota Gibson, and 15th Greg Omo, the last car on the lead lap, 16th the lap down J.R. Johnson, 17th Stephen Herring, 18th Jared Como, 19th to Matt Lacrosse, and rounding out the top 20, 5 laps down is Wyatt Wolf.
Rounding out the rest of your field here tonight in the 21st spot, Derek Hyatt, and in the 22nd spot, the 81, Keith Brooks Jr. Mark Bratcher finishes in the 23rd spot. 24th will go to the 17 of Bobby Wetzel. Now, these cars all disconnected for some reason or another. It's going to be the 66, Brian Harvey, in the 25th spot. 26 goes to Garrett Atwell. Jamie Pitts finishes 27th, and rounding out the field here tonight, the 27 of Chris Hone.
That's a look down the final Gary Mercer Trucking full field rundown. And before we sign off tonight from Fontana, really quickly, Brian Macklin, I'll go to you first because I didn't expect we were gearing up for that kind of a fantastic finish with the late race caution. I figured it would be George and Ward going at each other over the last 5 laps, but I'd say we got ourselves an equally as exciting end to what was a fun race at Fontana.
Yeah, this was exactly what I expected to see out of this race. Long green flag runs and a few guys jump out to a big lead. I think it's definitely a preview for what we're going to see on Monday night. Thomas George definitely going to be a favorite. It was just a lot of fun tonight. The unpredictability of the finishes of these races is what makes it so much more exciting. We just knew that it was going to be between Thomas George and Jeff Ward, and then the late race caution came out, and it turned into a show where anybody could have won. You had guys like Doug Roth and Kevin Linden, Anthony Palumbo up there that just, they had fallen back because of the long green flag run that had a shot there at the end, and it just makes it so much more fun to watch as you get down to the closing laps.
It was fun to watch tonight. Jimmy North, you slid over from the race control booth to come and chat with us this evening. Your thoughts on tonight from Fontana?
Oh, pretty amazing race, gentlemen. I was surprised to see Kevin Linden, especially up there in that 48 car, finishing P4. And I tell you what, if that thing would have went green, it may have been a different story. But congrats to Thomas J. George for holding out for the win. And Jeff Ward working together with his teammate there. Pretty exciting finish. I mean, I thought for sure that Kevin Linden was going to get up there and win that thing, but with that caution coming out, it kind of sealed the deal there. But once again, congrats to Thomas for the win.
And Justin, I turn to you now because this is 2 Wednesday nights in a row that we've seen some sort of a fantastic finishes. 3 out of 4 really in the Full Throttle Cup Series have come down to these late race dashes, and it just keeps getting better and better. The competition each week continues to bring it, and Thomas George holds off the best of the best again tonight, and across 2 series, he's now got 2 wins in 5 races this season.
And really, you should make it 3 because he got rooted out of the way there with an incident there, I do believe, at I want to say it's Las Vegas. He got rooted up out of the way while he was in contention for that win as well. So, George, no stranger to putting that machine up front in any series here at Real Sim Racing. Definitely cannot deny the strength of that Steel Horse crew, especially, with several of their drivers either from Team A or Team B taking the wins on any given night. So, again, great job by that Steel Horse Racing crew, but I'm more excited to see what actually happens on Monday night when we come back to this racetrack for the Full Throttle Cup Series. Is it really George's race to lose?
It's going to be interesting to find out, and he's going to leave Fontana tonight on top of the Asphalt Assault TV standings, but Brennan Mercer and the guys down in the race control booth giving us a look real quickly at the combined standings. They're doing a combined championship and separate series points for both the Outlaw Trucks and Asphalt Assault series this year. Doug Roth has a 20-point advantage after his win at Daytona, the only guy to finish top 5 in both Wednesday night races so far. Matt Lacrosse second, Scott Simley tied for second, but officially going to be credited with third. Kevin Linden jumps 21 spots to fourth, and Bobby Wetzel tied and rounding out the top 5 in the combined championship so far. So still a long way to go. We got about 14 more weeks across both series. We're going to be back next Wednesday night with race 2 for the Outlaw Truck Series. And until then, from a wild night in Fontana, our congratulations one more time going out to Steel Horse Racing and Thomas George, your winners at the Auto Club Speedway. For Justin, Jimmy, Brian, and our executive producer Laura Lawson, and all the crew at RSR, I'm Jacob Seelman. Keep it off the wall, race fans, until we meet again, and we'll see you next time on the web. Good night from California.